Hello, and welcome to day 22 of the Consistently Creative Challenge. My name is Dija. I'm an actor and a filmmaker, and I teach and create art programming for underserved youth. I created this challenge to uplevel my creativity and consistency, and wanted to invite others like yourself into this process. And so the goal is to really make space to create a habit for creativity and to learn some tools to help you in the creative process when things get hard or inevitably you feel like you can't do something or it's too big. I just wanted to explore these things together. And so today I want to talk about creating a workflow for your ideas. So many times we abandon ideas or we don't follow through with ideas simply because we don't have a workflow for those ideas. And many times we'll write down an idea on a piece of paper or something and we just never get back to it. And so today I want to address that issue with you. If you want to be effective as a creative person, I want you to embrace this mindset. Number one, the process is the process. Sometimes it's fast and sometimes it's slow, but you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I just want you to adopt that mindset when it comes to creativity and kind of understand proper expectations. So the expectation that I'm not saying to lower is what can happen with this creative project, but that it's going to be done in your timing all the time. Now, if you have an editor and things like that, and you have to hit milestones and deadlines, yes, you have to do your best at that. But in general, we can't always predict everything that's going to happen. I want to give you an example. When God told me to do a podcast, I think it was 2019. And my thought was, what? I have no desire to do a podcast. I'm a filmmaker. I'm all about the visuals. I have no clue how people do podcasts. So I started listening to more podcasts. I listened to some that I enjoyed it, and I started listening to more podcasts. And I was like, Lord, if you want me to do this, you have to teach me how. And he did. He started opening up doors where I got to take a course and go on a podcast retreat and really learn about the process. And I still have been learning even this year, it's 2023. And so it took me all the way until this year to really understand how to make a podcast. And I remember him saying, do video and the audio. And I was like, what? What is, I didn't understand until my mom was like, just do a video podcast. Oh, this is how far my mind was. Like, I just couldn't fathom that this is what the Lord wanted me to do. And now it's so much more easier. And also, when I wanted to do this challenge, it took me 2 weeks to prepare for it. The idea did come kind of suddenly, but it took me a few weeks to prepare. And I remember the day I was trying to set up the technical thing for what you're seeing right here. Like, I had to understand how to use Riverside.fm, how to connect that to the streaming for YouTube, how to set up this mic, how to set up the area, what I wanted it to look like. It took a lot of time. But now that I'm kind of in the groove, I'm getting faster and faster at it. And so I had to kind of understand the timing of things and just keep putting one foot in front of the other as I was preparing for this challenge. And even when I was in it and things were not going right, I had to just sit there and figure this thing out and be okay with that and not get super frustrated or caught up in negative feelings. I just had to put one foot in front of the other, like I was saying before. Okay, so let's dive into the workflow. When you have an idea and you're putting it in random places, on random pieces of paper, on a billion notebooks. I used to be that girl. I had a trillion notebooks around me and they were all cute, but it's not really practical. So I would encourage you to put everything in one place, whether it's one notebook that you love, keep that with you. I was a little fearful of losing that notebook with my ideas, but I have those types of notebooks. So I've kind of moved into a digital space. So you might want to just use a Google Doc and make it really simple. You could use the Notes app in your phone, which can be a little tricky. You don't want to lose your notes. So make sure you title it in something that you can remember. But I really love Notion. I found Notion a few years ago and I really like it because I can customize it to how my brain works. So you can create tables and calendars and switch between tables and calendars, and or you can make it like Trello where you have columns where you're moving tasks over. You can basically make it work how your brain wants to work. So that's why I love Notion so much. Another thing that you can use is Miro.com. That kind of works between like a Trello and Notion. But the thing is, it allows some more free association, I think. So if you want something that allows you to kind of brainstorm and be a little bit more flexible with like drawing lines to things, I would do that. So that's a great one. There's a free version. Right now, I'm on the free version of Notion. And then when you write down your ideas, spend a little bit of time to flesh out your ideas, because you don't want to look at an idea and be like cat jelly. And you're like, cat jelly? Take a few moments and write a few sentences about the idea. So maybe it was a skit about creating cat jelly, or I don't know. Why did I come up with that? That's weird. My point exactly is you might write down something and just be like, "What was that idea?" And so, number 1, find one place for all your ideas. Number 2, when you write your ideas, flesh them out a little bit more so you go back to them and you understand what you were thinking and you can trigger the idea again in your brain. The next tip I have for you is to schedule time in your calendar to work on your idea. And that is the point of this challenge, is to help you set up time every day, or how whatever works for you, but it's consistent so you know you have that time to go back to that idea and continue to work on it and flesh it out. People don't do that, and that's why your ideas don't happen, is because you haven't put time into it. And so it's so important to have that time set up on your schedule. And we talked about boundaries, making sure you put it on your calendar so you don't schedule other things in that place or adjust it if you have something that takes a higher priority, like your kid's recital. Just move that time, but keep the time and protect the time so that you can make progress on your idea. And remember, the process is the process. You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So if you have 30 minutes and that's your time, just do what you can in 30 minutes, but it will increase and compound over time if you keep doing that. So now that you have the time to consistently work on your idea, find accountability. Just even if it's just letting a friend know what you're working on. I have a friend, she's in a different space than me, also creative, but in the writing space. And so we check in about once a week. How are you doing? Maybe we'll have a co working session. Maybe we'll just talk through a problem we're having. Maybe it's just an email or a text, but there's somebody out there that I know is working on their dreams and is supporting me as I'm working on mine. And also, I love talking to her because just the way her mind thinks, it's very harmonious with how I think. And that's really special, really, really special to me as well. And I encourage you to find the accountability, whether it's just here on this channel or with another friend or with your spouse or even with your kids, because you know that your kids will love the opportunity to be like checking on you, like you have to check on them for their homework. You can say, well, this is my homework every day, and then I need you to check up on me. And so you could just make a fun game with that, even with your kids, and they would probably get a kick out of it. The next thing I would encourage you to do is take one of those slots of time and come up with a milestone list for yourself. If you are working on a book, just think about, okay, what are the things that I think that I need to do to create my book? So it's not really the writing of the book, the things you need. So I need a book cover. I need to create an outline. I need to make sure I have writing goals, like if you want to make a certain amount of words per day. By the way, finding an editor is a great way to make accountability for yourself. Whatever it is, make that checklist or milestone list. For me as a filmmaker, it's a little tricky until you get into production. It's very straightforward, but there's development, pre-production, production, post-production, distribution, exhibition, marketing. So these are the the things that I need to hit to make this actually happen. So I would encourage you to do that, because then you can just kind of look at the list and kind of see where you are in the process. And it's really helpful to just be able to see that and kind of see where you are. And it gives you kind of the self accountability as well. I would also say it's very important to understand the creative process, which I have a whole video on that we talked about what happens. It's so powerful to understand what's actually happening when you feel stuck, that things are moving forward and then you hit this block. And I wanted to challenge you in that video to think like, this isn't actually a block. This is just now my subconscious brain needing some time to kind of synthesize and work over, and it's time for a break. And this is just how it works. And you don't have to be afraid, and you can know what to do when you've kind of come up against that block. And so, since you know what's going on, you don't have to be so worried, and you just kind of go through the process and keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I urge you to check out that video as well. And lastly, have fun. Remember that you don't have to do this. You get to do this. You get to be a co-creator with God. You get to be a vessel to bring something good and beautiful into the world. You get to make impact. You get to do the thing you enjoy. So I want you to just remember that when it can feel like so much and so overwhelming and all of these emotions, just come back to the place of fun and play and the thing that made you want to do this in the first place, whether it's I want to impact people with my story. You know, sometimes it's not going to look the way that you think it will, but again, the process is a process. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. I have this TV show that I'm working on. It might start out as a comic book, and I had to be open with that and say, okay, well, I don't have $1 million for each episode because I'm pretty sure that's what it would take, but I can develop, a precursor to it, which might be a comic book. And so I just want to encourage you to be open in the process, be open as you're putting one foot in front of the other, and invite God into the process, because He's the one that put this thing in your heart and wants to co-create with you. So keep Him in the process and have fun. So for your assignment today, I want you to put these things in place. So if you haven't put a time on your calendar to work on your project, put it there. Take some time and write out a quick milestone. If you don't have a place to put your ideas, one place to put your ideas, decide on a place that you want to put your ideas, whether it's a notebook or somewhere digitally. And lastly, take some time to understand the creative process. If you don't understand, you can watch my video or you can do some research and just kind of get an idea that this is a process. And I know I said lastly, but this is lastly. Just remember the mindset. The process is the process, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.